On this channel, I go out of my way to try and talk about the things that most people don't want to talk about. And Snap is going to be one of those things that nobody wants to say anything negative about. So here I am talking about it. Now, let me start by saying that I believe that SNAP is one of the better government programs that are available. I myself, over the course of many years, my family and I have used that benefit on and off when times were tight. I don't think it's a bad program. I think it's an amazing program, and especially if it's only like $100 million a year for the whole country to keep people fed, then obviously that's something we should keep in our back pocket to use, which, you know, it's something we should keep on the list of things that we're doing. However, the reason why things like SNAP become controversial in the way that they do, because in this video, Hank is talking about how, like, it's an invisible program and stuff like that. I'm sorry, like, I am a center person who tends to lean more to the right, and I've heard a lot of stuff about SNAP over the years and, you know, welfare and programs and things like that. And while I don't go so far as to what a Republican would say about it. I do think that we are far too liberal with how we dispense money for those programs. And so I want to take a moment to talk about he's talking about the pro side of things, and that's great, but I do want to talk about the con side of things, and because it does, like, you need to have a complete conversation about every topic that you discuss. And that's the reason why we have such a hard time discussing anything in this country, is because everybody has their idea of how, the way that things it should be, and they don't want to hear the other person's side of things. It's just, no, I'm right, you're wrong, we should just do it this way. But every topic is way more nuanced than that. Now, obviously, $100 million to make sure that, you know, many people are fed is a steal of a deal. I don't think anybody could really deny that. However, the very first time I heard that places like McDonald's were able to accept EBT, I was like, what the fuck is this? What? They can come and use federal money to come and purchase junk food, crap that you know, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that particular position. The problem that most people have with SNAP, if they happen to have a problem, I don't think it's really that big of a controversy. I mean, it's a controversy now because they're defunding it. So obviously everybody's going to get up in arms about it. And I think rightly so. I think the way they're handling it in the government right now is not correct. However, I think the sentiment behind why they want to do the tactic that they're doing is probably correct. And I think it's probably centered around the fact that if you are not somebody who believes that the government should just do everything for you, you have this idea that if you are taking something from taxpayer dollars, you should be expected to earn it in some way. I don't know if that's necessarily how I want to say it. There needs to be friction, okay? As somebody who plays video games, and as somebody who plays a game called Path of Exile, which you probably have never heard of if you're not a video game player, the developers always have some level of friction in their gameplay and in their transactions and in the things that they do, because they want what you're doing to have some kind of value to it. And so they put obstacles in the way to make sure that you're not just doing things just because you're doing it because you need to do it. And I think that the same thing when it comes to our government programs need to exist in every single aspect of government programs that we have. It shouldn't just be, oh, well, you're underprivileged, so we're just going to give you some money and you can spend it however you want to spend it. It needs to be, no, we're going to give you this money, but you also need to be doing this, and you also need to be doing that, and you can't use this money for this, and you can't use this money for that. And it needs to be intentionally set up in a way to where people don't want to be on those benefits because they want to be able to live the kind of life that they want to live, and they don't want their life to be any harder than it has to be. So, for example, the idea that SNAP benefits should be limited to certain specific kinds of food. You can't buy alcohol, you can't buy cigarettes, you can't buy fast food, you can't buy, you have to buy food that you actually have to take home and prepare yourself. I think that that's a pretty reasonable level of friction to put into that system so that people don't feel entitled to just stay on it forever. It should be something where, this is a benefit that we're giving to you because we want to make sure that you are at least basically healthy, taken care of, you have the opportunity to eat and be well fed, and then you take the rest of your time trying to figure out how to dig yourself out of the hole that you're in right now. And I think that that is a absolutely noble use for something like SNAP, because making sure that people have, healthy food, fresh fruits, vegetables, meats, and all of those things is something that I don't think virtually anybody could disagree with. It's when we start turning into, oh, you can buy Snickers bars with this, and you can go to McDonald's with this, and you can go to all of these different places that are places of convenience, right? And now instead of it being something where we're trying to look out for you and, you know, just make sure you have enough to get by until you can improve your situation. Now we're providing you with the means to just kind of ignore it. It's like, why am I going to make my life better if I can go to McDonald's like everybody else, and I can go to this restaurant like everybody else, and I can buy what I want with my money? There is something to be said for ensuring that the programs that we put out there for people have a certain level of friction in them so that you're not incentivized to just stay with it because it's the easiest option. I'm a firm believer in the idea that, you know, these government programs should be harder than just doing it yourself, right? It should be a guaranteed option, right? It should be something where you're guaranteed to get what you need, but the process of it should be more difficult than making it on your own. And that incentivizes people to be like, well, no, I don't want to have to put up with this crap. I know I have to do it right now because I don't have any other options, but I'm going to get my ass out there and go find a decent job and, you know, get my life put together so I can get off of this bullshit over here and actually, you know, be making it on my own. And that, I think, like, I'm not justifying that they're turning off the SNAP benefits because of this, because A, there wasn't enough time for people to prepare for it. That's number one. I mean, just dropping it on them, oh, government shutdown, your SNAP benefits are gone now. Like, that's a big load of bullshit, and it shouldn't happen that way. And then B, there's a lot of people who have become so accustomed to the benefits that it takes a long time to get people, like, mind shifted out of the habits that they've grown into. So the way it's being done is absolutely bullshit. And I do believe that overall, SNAP is an amazing program that benefits a lot of people, and it is absolutely a program we should continue. However, I think that when people look at government and they see how people exploit our government, they have a natural tendency to be like, well, you know, we need to do something. We can't just let people keep leeching off of our systems the way that they do. So I guess we just throw the baby out with the bathwater. And while I don't necessarily agree with that position, I do understand the sentiment because, you know, people need help, but that help needs to come with an expectation that you're going to get yourself into a place where you don't need that help anymore. And it just, the viewpoint that many of us have is that there's a lot of people who are perfectly content to just keep taking the help without doing anything to try to fix their problem. And this is why systems need to have high levels of friction, not just like minimum basic requirements. The requirements need to be enough that you are uncomfortable being in that situation, right? You get what you need, but you're going to fucking earn it, right? It's not just given to you. You got to earn it. And the earning of that needs to be more uncomfortable and demanding than just figuring out, you know, I need to go find a job. I need to go get a job. I need to make some money. I need to do this because I don't want to be on this program anymore. It's just, I know I need it, but God damn it, I don't want to fucking deal with this anymore. And that's the way it needs to be. It needs to be set up so that people don't want to be on it. And it's become so easy to get on these programs that people just stay on it because it's convenient for them to do it. And too many, like, I applaud liberals for wanting to help people, but you guys tend to not look at the whole picture, and you don't understand. I don't know. You guys just don't seem to understand human nature enough to know that if you just, it's the whole. If you teach a man, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Right? You have to get people off their ass to go fix their lives themselves instead of just continuing to give them what they need with no expectation of actually doing something for it. And that's just kind of the way it is. And until we get to a point where AI reaches the point where it does all of our stuff for us and none of us needs to work anymore, you know, we have to have a system where people have to earn their keep. And that's just the way that it is. So that's all I wanted to say. I know that if you're hyper liberal and you're coming across this video, it sounds like I'm this horrible person talking about blah, 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 blah. I don't want them to cancel SNAP, and I don't want them to not fund SNAP right now. I think they should do it. But at the same time, you as a hyper-liberal need to, like, take yourself out of that mindset for a second and understand the thought process of somebody else and understand that there are a lot of people in our country who do not want to just give people stuff for nothing because it just takes away from people it just takes away from them for no good reason other than, oh yeah, they get to eat. But B, there's a lot of people who believe in the idea you need to get off your ass and go do something. We're not just going to give you something for free and you're just going to sit on your ass in your apartment all day. Like, there's a lot of people who feel that way about it. And regardless of whether you agree with that position, it is a valid and logical and rational position to expect people to to earn something for what they get. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Again, fund SNAP. It is a good program, but I think a lot of our government programs need heavy overhauling to make sure that people don't have a desire to be on it, because it needs to be something that you do as a last resort, not as something that's the default position for you. So that's all I wanted to say. Hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 1,000 subscribers, and I'll see you for the next one.